Mary?
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed, Domenica. And thank you, Colin, for, as ever, an intriguing and wide-ranging speech taking us in unexpected and unanticipated directions right from the start. Now, Colin chose to take a very different angle on this project because the brief is actually to give a speech which is a story or a speech which includes stories. But instead, Colin ruminated on what stories are versus reality, perhaps defines story as an understanding of events which departs from reality. But I really enjoyed the journey that Colin took us on. He demonstrated some brilliant speaking skills, his rhetorical questions such as, or was he? And, or did you? Perfectly timed pauses at those points, and his visualization, the looking down on a Roman town, looking for legionnaires, and with more repetitive rhetorical questions at that point. Would you recognize them? Would you see? It's just suggestions that I have perhaps to enhance the pace, more vocal variation perhaps, and to work on exaggerating facial expressions and gestures. In this meeting, we had Colin's head, which was absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that, but to use the space more to move about if you can, to stand so that you can see more of yourself, so that your gestures can be seen. But I particularly loved the roller coaster that we ended up on, with great eloquence and fluency, from Asterix to the Carry On movies to the scientist Hook and the micrograph, and to Newton with his apples, and then Darwin and somebody we'd never heard of, Patrick Matthew, I think it was. And then finally, we did have a micro story eventually about Darwin and Patrick Matthew, and the recognizing Patrick Matthew for having had the theory in the first place. So, Colin, you just squeaked under the wire to tick the box for that particular project. For the storytelling, but it was absolutely riveting. I loved every minute of it, and it just amazes me the way that your mind will go from one to the other, and yet it all links together. So a really enjoyable speech, Colin. Thank you very much for that. And I now hand over to Henry.